looking at the
No.
BJP and Hindu nationalism and Modi, who's been described as like Trump on steroids to me on this program. And I think most people who understand that are like, Modi's worse than Trump. How has Modi impacted the South Asian diaspora here in the United States, either in opposition to this kind of nationalism or in sort of a subtle embrace, or maybe even the seedlings, as you were talking about, of some kind of neoconservative Indian American movement here?
Yeah, no, I think both things are going on because I mean, Modi is very much a kind of Hindu nationalist version of India, and I should mention it doesn't just appeal to people who are like very religious. Like it is a kind of like make India great again. So there's a lot of nationalism there, but I mean that's obviously antagonizes religious minorities, particularly like Muslims. I mean BJP is very Islamophobic, but also Sikhs and Christians. Yeah, I mean, what one sees there is that like there's a lot of like Sikh Americans that are like very opposed to Modi, and like there's an ongoing FBI investigation of what appears to have been like an assassination attempt against Sikh activists in the United States, led by the Indian intelligence, and there's also
another. Wait, wasn't there in Canada? There wasn't a
there's in
successful.
Canada. There's a Canada in Canada. There's the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that there's evidence that Indian government was assassinated a Sikh in British Columbia. But there's also a case in the United States, as well as indications of cases in the England and in Pakistan. So it's a very that's obviously like gonna fracture the community. I think. On the reverse side, I mean, I think a lot of so Trump had this big rally in Houston in 2018, Howdy Modi, where he rallied with Modi, and they had 50,000 people came out as one of Trump's biggest rallies. Was now some of that is just like nationalism, right? It's not necessarily very religious,
right?
And some is just like they feel like Modi's made India prominent on the world stage, and he's beating the American president. Okay, that's all, among a minority, I think that there is like this kind of like activist core that is basically modeling itself after AIPAC and thinks that, we can create a Hindu American identity that is all about lobbying on behalf of India and create some military alliance between India and the United States, and we'll be the conduit for that alliance and gain power in Congress. I mean,
Terrifying.
we're definitely so that is a real possibility, and like India, like Israel, is a nuclear power. Has conflicts with like its neighbors. To what degree does one if you're I don't know if like the American establishment would go along with this, but this has the sort of implications of like a much greater entanglement of the United States in like Asia, in ways, including in wars in Asia,
sure,
in ways that like I think should just stir people. Now, having said all that, I mean I think it's a minority phenomenon, and like the as a 70% voted for Biden, not just they voted for Biden, but like they're actually like to the left of Biden, like on issues of support for universal health care, abortion, like it's a very solidly progressive bloc. And the other way it's polarizing is that like Israel-Palestine is polarizing, and one sees this like the Hindu nationalist, the hardcore Modi people, like they love Israel, and then they see India as like we want to do in India what Israel is doing in Gaza, right? And India has like the largest Muslim population of any country in the world, so that's very troubling. But that's a minority, but there's a lot of South Asians, Hindus, but also Sikhs, Buddhists, Christians who are very sympathetic to the Palestinians. And like if you go to any pro-Palestinian rally, you will see like people of South Asian descent there.
Can I ask you then about like just quickly about progressives who like Ro Khanna, who's been he I would argue is not being very forceful in his tone in terms of like a permanent ceasefire, but he's saying, I mean, Ro Khanna, he's just he's very lightweight in some ways to me, but but have Ro Khanna and Pramila Jayapal on the Modi front, are they interested in creating like a progressive bloc in terms of foreign policy that or have they already like denounced, the repression against minority groups in India and sort of cast doubt on our our alliances there, or have they just kind of not been at the forefront of that?
I know. I think that they've been good, although they get cross pressure. I mean, Rakana is in Silicon Valley, and there's a lot of very wealthy right wing Indians there, and I think that he's probably like under a lot of like different pressures. And progressives, like in general, like I actually do think that in general the progressives in Congress have been pretty good about like raising the human rights concerns in India. But like like on things like the caste issue, that's becoming very divisive among Democrats. So like in India, and I want to emphasize this is not just a Hindu thing. There's caste divisions among Christians and Sikhs in India as well. But like there's like anti-caste laws saying like you cannot, just because you're born of a high caste, exclude someone from a traditionally oppressed caste from jobs, right? And so there's attempts to pass caste laws, but Gavin Newsom just like vetoed a bill, an anti-caste bill in California, and he did it out of pressure from basically Silicon Valley billionaires who said, well, this is discrimination against Hindus. And
my God, that's so rich.
Yeah.
Our discrimination is discrimination. That's wild.
Yeah. So I mean, I think we have to actually I think these divides are really going to play themselves out in the coming years. But I think we have to be very, very clear on this. And on that front, I just want to emphasize like caste is a social divide. It's like racism, right? Like it is. And there's actually caste divisions in many Indian religions, and so I think the fight against caste should not be seen as an anti-religious thing at all.
What's going on, Frantifa? If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that button. And also, you can become a patron and support the show every single week. Get access to bonus episodes and exclusive merchandise. Patreon.com/Bitchuation Room. Do it.